Welcome to another episode of From a People Perspective, a show hosted by Martin Hauck. Today, we're joined by Michael Solomon, founder and talent agent at 10X Management. Michael started his career managing world-class musical talent before bringing that same talent-first mindset into tech recruiting, where he spent the last decade representing elite software engineers and advising venture-backed companies. In this conversation, we unpack what recruiters, hiring managers, and candidates consistently misunderstand about each other, why aligning with talent changes everything, and how technology, including AI, should support human judgment rather than replace it. This podcast is brought to you by the People Group. We're on a mission to economically empower people leaders. By joining our community, you'll gain access to career opportunities, a network of over 6,000 modern people leaders, and exclusive tools and resources. Learn more at thepeoplegroup.com.
Welcome back to another episode of From a People Perspective. I'm Martin Hauck, your host, and today we've got Michael Solomon with us. Welcome, Michael.
I'm glad to be here. I'm a people.
You're a people person. So you came to one of our dinners, and I had the privilege to sit across from you during dinner, and had a blast. Probably one of more entertaining dinners that we've had. It was like we were talking shop. We were talking about all kinds of things. And months later, here we are doing the podcast. So thanks for making time for this.
I'm really happy to be here, although I'm at home, but I'm really happy to be on the podcast.
Where am I? Love it. Before we dive into the story and all that fun stuff, I usually kick things off with a couple of icebreakers just to get to know you a little bit. This one will be, I'll save my usual one for last because I think it's going to go in an interesting direction. But midnight snacks, what is that a thing? Do you do it? Where do you go? What's happening?
It's a thing for sure. It's always in the house. And there's definitely like shifts in them. Like my recent thing is kiwis, but not just kiwis, whole kiwis with the skin. That's become my, yeah. I know. Like there's these new kiwis that have sort of thinner skin. I just started this. Like the first time I heard that, I made the same face you made, but I tried it and it's great. And it's so much easier than having to peel it and like whatever. It's great. So that's my newest one. Amazing. But at times, like I would have like whipped cream with chocolate. I mean, like the midnight snack train in my life has been long and diverse.
There's seasons to it.
Yes.
What kind of kiwis? So I'm a kiwi. I like a good kiwi, but the process of obtaining the sweet kiwi is kind of infuriating at times. I like the idea of just biting into one.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, and apparently the nutrients are in the skin. So there's that as well. I've been getting these yellow kiwis at Costco.
Okay.
Costco. Just, if you want them to be a little riper, you just got to keep them out of the fridge for a while and they ripen up.
Brilliant. Costco kiwis.
I did not think I was going to be giving kiwi recommendations today.
No, this is how it is. All right. First gig ever of all time.
Well, my first job was in a nursing home unloading boxes. That was like the first one. That was kind of fun. But I would say it's kind of like my first professional gig was touring with Bruce Springsteen.
Okay.
It was
the spectrum in which yeah. Okay. In which we'll dive into. Why am I focusing in on the most ridiculous things here? We should be talking about Springsteen, but what made the nursing home loading boxes part fun?
I think I was 14 or 15, and I'll tell you really to answer that question is the boxes that we were unloading would be like a full tractor trailer of adult diapers, which were giant boxes that weren't that heavy. So it felt very, I don't know, I felt very like strong moving these giant boxes all day that weren't that heavy.
Yeah.
It made me feel very,
I love it. I know the exact like mental place that you're talking about. Like, oh, if someone
boys, we want to, I wanted to be a man, and that felt manly.
you're doing something in the yard and you're just like, it just comes across like, oh, if someone sees me right now, they're gonna be impressed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I'm past that point in my life, but I don't think that's true.
No, I did some yard work this summer, and there were a couple moments that I was just like, oh yeah, this looks tough. This looks like I know what I'm doing. So and finally, you have one album to listen to for the rest of the time. You can't listen to anything else. Album or artist. Sometimes people get cheeky and they're like, I can't pick an album, but what's your go-to?
I would go with Radiohead for this. That's kind of my go-to for this question. I think, especially if I get the diversity of their catalog, there's a lot of different elements and sounds and styles that sort of transcend time. So
Yeah,
that would be my easy pick.
that is a great answer from like also a big Radiohead fan, but I like the fact that like each song and album is just so drastically different from the next one, but still has like their flavor of music. Good call. Yeah, I was just pointing up. I got the Kid A album in the back there. So
oh, that's what you were pointing at. I was like, I thought you were like saying 1 second to somebody. I was like,
no, my bad.
Let me hold on. Yeah, and the reason that diversity is so important with that question is it really doesn't matter what your answer is. You're going to get sick of it. So
yeah,
you might as well have something you'll get sick of more slowly.
Yes, this is true. You can only listen to it for so long. Okay, yeah, let's dive into it. So you also shared, apart from feeling strong lifting giant boxes, that your first real gig was touring with Bruce Springsteen. And I guess to set the stage and kind of like what, apart from that being a cool story, you're now in talent acquisition. You've been running a talent recruitment agency for a set of time. You've written a book. You've done a lot of things, but from the sounds of it, you started your career in the world of music and music talent. And I've always been curious about like pulling out threads and stories of things that are true in that space, that also tie into the recruitment and talent acquisition world. So I think that would be a cool angle to take. But yeah, let's start off. You kick things off with Bruce Springsteen, and how did you get to where you are now? Yeah.
And while you asked that question, I thought of a way to like bring this all in. I think it's going to be fun. So
nice.
There's a Springsteen movie out now that's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
With Jeremy Allen White and Jeremy Strong, written by a friend of mine named Warren Zanes, a great book that was turned into this film. And touring with Bruce Springsteen, I got to witness something that this film depicts. And the film depicts it 20 years before I met them. But it's this brilliant talent management relationship that exists. It's beautiful. I saw it and I understood it because of my inside view, because I got to work there and I got to watch it. Like I kind of got to see it and understand it. And that formed my perspective of what I wanted to do with my career, which ultimately for the first half of my career was managing musical talent. That's sort of where I started, and we still do that, but I don't personally work on it anymore. My partner does that. Yeah. But it was seeing this relationship. And what I'll tell you about that movie is the depiction of the talent manager. And this is not like an HR talent manager. This is talent manager with a capital T, is so beautiful because what it does, and a lot of what the book that we wrote talks about, is first he pushes back on his client. John Landau in this scene pushes back and is, I'm not spoiling anything, and is like, Bruce, this is crazy. You can't do this. Like, blah, blah, blah. And there's a number of times of like, gently, carefully trying to navigate that. And then at a certain point, he's like, this is the talent, and the talent's not going to move on this. And he does an about face, and he turns around, and then he goes and advocates for the talent to the record company and to the rest of the world. And obviously the rest of the story is history, but it's that relationship of like understanding talent at that highest level. And that is a lot of talent, recognizing it, seeing the limitations of how you can manipulate it, and then navigating that. that started my career path, which was managing musical talent. People like Vanessa Carlton, who we still manage, John Mayer, who we do not, Citizen Cope, Mark Broussard, like lots of, there's a 30-year-old company now, the Clarks, who we still manage. And moving from that as the music industry got disrupted and sort of being like, I have to figure out something else to do because I'm not sure music's going to be a safe place. This is 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And recognizing like the only skill that I had acquired in all this time, besides some executive function stuff, was like managing talent. So I was like, well, what am I going to do with this? And then the light bulb of who's the new talent? Who's the new rock star? And it was software engineers. And it's like, oh, wait, maybe since nobody's getting on their side of the table, everybody's trying to exploit them. Maybe we can do exactly what happened in the entertainment industry and the sports industry 25, 50 years ago in the technology industry.
Right.
And that was when we started 10X. And basically, I mean, everything that we did was modeled after a talent agency in Hollywood. It was not modeled after an HR company.
Yeah.
And my whole entree into the talent world, to the HR world, was I never learned HR. I don't know. Like, I know we're going to talk a little about internal and external recruiters. I'm an outsider. I mean, this is what I've done for the last 15 years, but I did it very much with an outsider perspective.
Yeah.
So that was a long answer, but
no, this is exciting in a very geeky, nerdy way for me, because this is exactly the conversation I've been dying to have, because I know I'm like, there's all these things that happen either in the, like, let's call it artist space, that are transferable to, like, at the end of the day, you're representing somebody based on their skill sets as a recruiter. If you're an internal recruiter, if you're an external recruiter, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you are coming to someone and saying, this person is awesome. You need to take a shot on them in some capacity, right? Like, I'm probably making it, that's the, like, fun, beautiful part about recruiting. So it's exactly kind of the conversation I'd love to kind of like double click on, and didn't realize that, like, you had actually modeled it after sort of, like, I guess that looks and feels and sounds different than most recruitment agencies just in general. I don't know if there's like a secret sauce to it, but, like, what have you noticed over the years, like, running up against competitors in how you've chosen to operate versus, and what advantages that gives you, and that's sort of like what stands out to you?
So I think what you just described in sort of the HR world is there's sort of two primary parts. There's matchmaking and there's deal making.
Yeah.
And deal making is the part that gets sort of more interesting and more fun, and also where there's more room for creativity, and where leverage becomes an important factor. And what our secret sauce is that we aligned ourselves with the talent. The talent, the top talent is always the rare thing, like the best people. I mean, we just saw this year, we saw people getting $1.5 billion offers because they had the right skill set. Talk about leverage.
Yeah.
So our secret sauce is that we have, every two-sided marketplace sort of has to pick a side, right? Like Uber picks passengers over drivers. They do. They don't treat, like, they have to treat their drivers well enough, but their business is the passengers. We treat our talent as that's our client. Like, internally, our talent is who we call our clients. We never use that out in the world, but like, that's who we serve. And because of that, we stand out from our competitors. Most of our competitors want to make a match, and then they want to drive the price down for the talent, and have the arbitrage.
Yeah.
There are obviously recruiters where they're getting a percentage and they also want to drive the price up. But again, there's a huge conflict of interest inherent in all of it. And I think if there's any secret sauce, it was just being like, the most talented people are the ones who shouldn't waste their time dealing with the administrative stuff. They're neither interested in most cases, and in many cases not good at it. And if we can take all of that stuff and take all of the pain out of contracting for them, they're happy to pay us a commission. Yeah. And they feel like it's worth it. And then once we have the best talent, that's how we get our business, is people have come to know that if you want people who can get things done very quickly, who are very high level, who you can see it on paper and then you can see it in practice, were a great resource for freelance talent. That is
Nice. And that's interesting. There's this, as I'm sure lots of people are. I was scrolling through some sort of app recently. I forget which one, so I'm not going to do justice to like the source or the credit. But there was this interesting, and this kind of like frames kind of like the mentality of it all. But there's this interesting conversation about this hospital had, was having trouble with like the changeover from when, a patient goes from one area of the hospital to the other area of the hospital, and they were losing people more than they should, like just statistically based on things, like they had tried everything, da 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 da. And then two doctors are just having lunch and they say, like, one says the other, like they're watching like Formula One racing or like NASCAR, and they're like, what if we got like a pit crew to come
right.
in and like
Instead of moving them around, we just bring everything to them.
Yeah, not even that. Like, what if we got them to come in and like help us like figure out what's going on? They proposed it. They're like, no, this is crazy. We're not going to have people come in and like, this makes no sense. And those two guys are like, people are losing their lives, like statistically way higher than they absolutely should. We're doing something wrong. We've tried everything. Why not? So they do it. And then in the exercise, like they get this, Formula One team pit crew to come in. And he's like, so no understanding. They're like, oh, it's going to take forever to explain all the processes. And they're like, no, like you guys don't have like a standard operating procedure of like how this happens. Like every movement in a pit crew is calculated and structured and written down. And there's a standard operating procedure. And you guys are operating on human beings, and like you're reaching over each other sometimes to like unplug a machine. And it's
Right.
just absolute chaos. And so when they realized that and they took all their advice and feedback, they just had this complete alternative perspective. And that's kind of what I'm curious about, is like your alternative perspective for all of this. So it's like, first thing, obviously, that you've just mentioned is like the talent, the candidate, so to speak, really is your customer, your client. They're the, like, yes, you have clients. They're the ones that are paying the bills. It's
boy,
not
do we
the
need
candidate.
them to be happy. I mean, we care deeply about that. But
Exactly. But first and foremost, top of the food chain is your candidate. I guess, did this idea or concept of sort of like pulling from sort of like the, actor and musician model just come right off the bat, or are you just like, I'm just gonna run with it and see how it goes?
the idea came from us as artist managers have a bad experience building a digital product where somebody disappeared on us, and we're like, where's this person's manager? Like, we need like, this is not a good experience.
Oh,
This is like a really talented art, person who's doing amazing things, but like they're not good. They're not. They didn't have good executive function. They weren't communicating. They would disappear, and we're like, this isn't how this should be. And also, we wanted to have that screened out. Like, we didn't want to end up with somebody like that. So ultimately, what we did, we're like, this is an interesting idea, and we signed our first software engineer to our music management company. Like, the first contract was, you're signing to Brickwall Management. We didn't have a name for this other business. We didn't even know there was another business. It was an experiment. It was truly an experiment. And
let's see if it goes.
5 minutes for that experiment to work. And then that person said, I don't want to be your client. I want to be your partner. I can blow this up with all of my software engineer friends and my Harvard network and my Y Combinator network and my, like, he didn't say it in this bragging way, but that was all there. And so that's where the company began.
That's wild. And how long have you been doing this? How long have you been doing the recruitment side?
I think 10X is about 13 or 2012. It's going to be 14 years old this year.
Yeah.
Coming year. Yeah.
Wow. 14. Yeah.
Pretty amazing. I mean, we also got really lucky at the beginning. When we launched, the media loved, even we didn't do anything to stimulate this, but the media loved the rock stars managers managing the new rock stars story. No one wrote those words, but everybody wrote that story. I mean, we had a 7-page feature in the New Yorker.
Wow.
About our company, like, when we launched this. So it was a very lucky beginning. I mean, every business publication had something on us, had us on. It was amazing. I've never seen, I mean, we've done a lot of press campaigns for our music talent.
Yeah.
I've never seen something that explosive for no effort.
That I forget if it's Dayforce or the other one, but they just did that whole marketing campaign of like rock stars in HR. It was like a Super Bowl commercial or something last year, I think.
Yeah. There's
wow.
even companies that have named themselves like Rockstar Talent, and
Rockstar, yeah.
like there's.
It's funny because if like looking from my lens on, there was this like time period where, at least in like the startup tech space in Toronto, there was this like allergic reaction to like people calling candidates rock stars and coding ninjas, and they're just
yes.
There was this, I don't know, you saw it as well, yeah?
Yeah, there, yeah, because and I don't know, it's the culture of the technology world is really just bizarre,
Yeah.
Tech bros, and I went to a party in San Francisco a couple weeks ago, and some dude was talking to me, and I thought I was on a TV show watching like a caricature. Like I thought it was Silicon Valley. Like someone was like making like totally satire. I could not believe, like he's got a couple B like for billion, like just it was like, whoa, yeah.
Yeah, there's like this alternate reality that exists almost sometimes. What kind of like diving back into, I'd be curious to kind of get a sense of like the assessment of talent and maybe comparing and contrast that, like when you choose to like represent a musician or manage a musician versus like what was really important in getting good at that, because you did that for a long period of time as well. So how did you get good at that, I would say, first? Because I imagine not every person's gonna be like a rock star, literally. So,
and that's part of the reason that I personally wanted to move away from music, because I think it's virtually impossible to figure out now with the world the way it is. And I don't want to take us onto an entertainment conversation, but I think it's like virtually impossible to figure out what's going to break through.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane how hard it is. So that's part of the challenge. But the commonality, the reason that we actually wrote the book that we wrote, is because having worked with talent across musicians, directors, producers, and then tech talent, there's something that you're always looking for in these folks. And it's basically, I mean, in the simplest terms, it's somebody you want to work with. It's someone who's reliable. It's all the things that everybody in HR knows that often get pushed to the side when the skills look really right.
Yeah.
When they have the right company background and they have the right skills, and you're like, this matches on every level, people are a little less discerning on the things that matter most. I can like take a B+ person at a skill who's an A+ communicator and have just fantastic relationship with them. But you take somebody who's, if you flip that around, it just doesn't work. Like somebody who's exceptional at work but can't communicate and meet expectations, it's a disaster, which is why that's what we're always looking for, is the skill, which we can vet for both on paper and we can vet for with our existing talent. We use the people we work with to vet new people. Yeah. And they're very, very, very harsh because they don't want anyone contracting under our name who's not going to have a good outcome, because it would hurt them also.
Yeah.
So they're very harsh, but the technical part is to me, that's the easier part. I don't think that's so hard to do. I think that what's really, plus when you're dealing with freelancers, if you don't like the person, it's easy to move on. It's the people you want to work with that give you confidence, that can continually estimate, adjust, own mistakes. I mean, I think the most important thing that I ask people in any interview is, tell me about a time you made a mistake.
Yeah.
About 60% of the people do a good job of that, and about 40% of the people talk about something going wrong and then talk about how it wasn't their fault.
Yeah. Yeah. There's interesting little tells in that moment too, is like, I love listening for when somebody, you just ask them about the organization or the project or the thing they work on, and you hear someone using I as opposed to we, whereas like companies are almost always large and you are almost always on a team, almost always working with other people, but then the person that just leans in, and it's not like, oh, I'm not going to hire this person because they keep using I statements, but there is this element. I would be curious to get your take on it as well, is like, there's this element of like the person that is, they're there, it's like, this is my time to shine, I need to represent myself well, but there is this balance of like highlighting the fact that you didn't do it all by yourself.
Right.
And when, and as opposed to like blaming others, like it's hard. It's that classic, like, what's your greatest weakness? Like when somebody's like, well, I'm going to tell my weakness, but it's actually going to be a positive kind of
Right.
deal. Like that's not actually the case. Like it's okay to just talk about how you shit the bed
Yeah.
and the realities of it, and then talk about what you learned and why you're never going to do that again, or what you've changed as a result of it. I'd be curious to get your take on that.
I try when I ask some of those questions to lead with examples of where I'm weak and things that I know I need to work on, to try and model it and give them the chance of like, this is what I'm looking for, and also make them a little bit more comfortable to be vulnerable. You can tell when somebody's giving you the answer that they've prepared and there's no truth, there's no vulnerability, there's no, I'm a perfectionist. Like really, that's what you're going to come with? And
Yeah,
for some people that's true, and it's actually a problem. Like that,
yeah.
But that's not really, like, if you're going to tell me that, then you really better explain how and why that shows up and why it's a problem and what you're doing to work on it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing about all these questions, is it's like, you need to be willing to admit your fallibility, and you need to just see all of that as growth opportunity.
Yeah.
Like,
Would you ever have signed or worked with a musician if you had never seen them play?
No.
It's interesting that we don't really do that very much on the hiring side. Like this is like, it was a leading question, but like there's this like, it's just weird to me that we don't follow that model for hiring, which is like, there's like, it's just like it, at the end of the day, it's sometimes it's just three of the same conversation with some companies, where it's like, I met this person, talked about my career, to met this person, talked about my career. Yeah. Do you know why that is? Do you do things differently where you kind of like force some sort of experiential aspect to it?
Say more. I'm not sure I completely understood that.
No, in terms of like the process, do you add in this element of like, let's see what this person can do?
I mean, for us as a company that's renting out talent, because it's rentals, it's super try, get out. We'll even, for reasonable side projects, we'll de-risk people and give them a money back guarantee on people. I mean, we know what we're selling. Like, we know what we've got.
Yeah.
But as someone who hires, I think that ultimately, just the nature of full-time employment and at-will employment, it's still used to. I mean, we hired someone last year, it didn't work out. 3 months later, we let him go. I mean, that's sort of that
happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, and we definitely, even if we're hiring to a W-2, to a full-time employment status here, we're still setting expectations that over the first 3 months, this is what we need to see in order for you to be successful in this job. Yeah. And it's a lot easier to do that when you can be clear about what your expectations are, and it's not fuzzy, and somebody can get to the end of the 3 months and be like, well, this isn't working, right? Yeah. We agreed this is what needed to happen. So, but I do think, and this is my business, is like, come start with Contractors. First of all, you're going to learn a lot about what you're doing. You're going to learn a lot about the kind of people you want, or the exact skills you want for this, and including that the people who are working on it can help you refine exactly what you're hiring for.
Yeah. There's this I mean, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's this element of where you realize the client or the hiring manager doesn't even know what they want. And then the approach that you talk about of just like bring on a couple of contractors, and then out of that process, instead of using the interview process that's going to go on forever because this person's going to ask to see more people, and they're kind of like forming their opinion of what they need from a hire through the recruitment process, which is atrocious. You can just bring on like think about it, like immediately start getting work done first off, and then be like, okay, we've got these 3 contractors working. 2 of them are great. I wasn't even going to hire 2. I was going to hire 1. Now I see the value in that. And third one doesn't make sense. And it was for a weird reason we'd never even thought of. Like, that just seems like a better model. I don't know why we do it that way, or why we don't do it that way. Yeah.
And also in those instances where everything's fuzzy, I mean, we don't even want to, we will, but we'd rather start with a discovery phase so that like, because again, when everything's fuzzy like that and no one's sure what they want and they're not sure what done is or what good is.
Yeah.
If you just start without any planning on the front end, you never know whether you succeeded or not. So we definitely encourage, it doesn't have to be a separate phase, but like, let's map this out at least to a degree, or the next stage that we can all agree on expectations before we do it. Because otherwise, did we do a good job? I don't know.
You mentioned earlier on, you kind of were looking at the music industry and you're like, oh, this is kind of going in a weird direction. Like, this is why you got into the talent space, and it became this whole other business that you have. Now we see the talent world kind of going through that moment in itself as well, to a degree. Like, I guess I'd be curious to get your take on like what you've been doing as of late. Like, has anything changed drastically with how you operate your business as of late? And yeah, let's start there. Yeah.
So I'm just going to give us a little applause, a little internal applause. We've made it 40 minutes of conversation without mentioning these 2 letters that we're going to talk about now. That's unusual. And it's very unusual for me because I talk about it all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think there's, in terms of the overall market, I think there's a bunch of things going on. I think during and after COVID, you had all the big tech companies hire insane amounts of engineers, more as like a land grab, and because everyone was doing it and they weren't even sure what they needed them for. They just knew it was a limited supply, and they went crazy. And then coming out of that, they're like, oh, we don't know what to do with all these people. Even before AI was a thing, and they started shedding lots of people, and that put a lot of supply into the tech market, which is the only market I can speak to.
Yeah.
And we felt that because it's just supply and demand. You know, even though our people are at the top of the food chain and they're still in demand, you just feel it. Then getting sort of more to now, AI is obviously becoming a factor in everything, both in terms of how we do business. Like, our internal search has completely changed. It's so much better than it ever was. And we were fantastic at it. That's what people come to us for. They come to us and they say, we need to, and we're like, here you go. And 95% of the time, the first person we put in front of them is the one they hire.
Wild.
Like, we're good at it. We're so much better at it now. Like, that's been a really big upside. So I love that on the internal side. And on the professional side, lots of people are vibe coding, and the word from our clients, our talent, is, hey, when someone comes in with a project that they want us to build out, let's ask up front before we even do anything, was it vibe coded? Because it's not going to be like they think they have something and we're going to have to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And basically what I'm hearing from our people is they're becoming so much more powerful and so much more valuable, but all of the sort of civilians who are trying to do stuff are creating.
I'm trying not to feel attacked right now, Michael.
No. I mean, it's like, it's great for all the things that you're doing that it works for, but if you want to build a product, if you want to, if you're building a startup, if you're not an engineer that's using it in a way that an engineer would and building all of the little pieces, you're building a house of sand that's a great demo, but will need to be rebuilt, which is fine. For many businesses, that's all you need. Like, it's not all bad, but I think that I wake up every day and I read headlines and I read periodicals. And there's two things right now, which is coding is dead. Like no one's going to need coders. It's only a matter of minutes. And the other one is actually AI is slowing down coders and they're working at 20% slower by using AI. And there's data to support that. And those are the two things that I see every day.
And
so I'm just sitting here thinking, all right,
we
AI is a little bit like, what was that?
We haven't quite figured it out yet.
No, AI is a little bit like death. I don't know how or when, but I know I'm going to die. And I don't know how or when, but AI will take my job.
Okay. Yeah. You have to get comfortable with the eventuality of it. Or you spend your life like crippled in fear, I guess, right? You have to like...
That's sort of what I'm saying is like business is great right now. It's not as great as it was 3 years ago, but it's really solid.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep going and keep doing what we're doing and continue with the belief that the people at the top of the food chain, the best performers, the most skilled, the most capable will continue to be valuable.
When you got into the talent space, did you sort of like immerse yourself like, okay, I got to take cues from other people that are doing talent acquisition, recruitment, in a particular way, like the influencers and the thought leaders, like, you're like, oh, this book was great, it changed my perspective on recruitment? Or did you just jump in and you're like, no, we're going to do it our way and fuck around and find out, basically?
More the latter, but with a lot of learns along the way. Like the clauses that have ended up in our agreements, which were not in our, like, if I look back at our first agreement, were things that were like, oh, okay. Like literally somebody else would be like, use our agreement. And we're like, oh, look at that clause. And our agreement hasn't changed now in probably 5 or 6 years. Like we got it where we want it, but it was a lot of learning. I mean, I remember when I first started this, I spoke to my uncle who was a CEO for hire for a bunch of businesses. And I told him what I was doing. And he had worked in temporary help. And he's like, do you have a buyout clause? And I was like, what's that? There was a lot of on the job learning, but it also isn't rocket science. If you have great talent and people need that talent, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah. No, cool. Yeah. I mean, also proud of us for not talking about AI until like the 40-minute mark or so. So kudos to us.
We can talk about it for the rest of the time now if you want. Like we could. We already demonstrated a lot of restraint.
Yeah. I guess I'm curious to know. So you went from, I think the more interesting thing, and it does include AI, is like you said like, hey, we're already great at identifying people internally, and what I'm assumed you mean by that is just talent you already know. Like you don't have to go to market and search for this person, because as soon as the client is saying like, oh, I need a da-da-da-da, you've got names and faces popping up in your mind.
We have a roster, we have a bench. Like it's not that we'll never go to our waiting list for people who aren't on our roster, but rarely. Like we're dealing with our pool of talent.
Yeah. And how did you get, is it just a simple matter of just having a high bar and having a lot of conversations with folks and then just keeping tabs on them and building the relationship? Or is there something like unique about the way you guys did it because of like the non-traditional background?
I think it's the business model. I think because we aligned with the talent, and our business model is that the better they do, the better we do, vice versa. Like that we're partners. That's, I think, the secret sauce. Is that there's an element of trust there, because everybody else is sort of like trying to tamp them down. And also, I mean, what I hear from a lot of our talent is that the other places where people do work, freelance work, they really treat the talent like the commodity,
right?
Like the Uber driver, and they're not, they're just, it's not very human. And it's not, a lot of these places like bid out jobs and then are like, you got to do it for this price. And it's not recognition of the fact that you're a couple, you're a very talented person who can create a tremendous amount of value in the world.
Mm.
And they don't treat them that way. And I'm always amazed that there's enough people that they can still fill their opportunities. But I think where we excel is helping to coach our talent when it's needed, which I don't think other entities do. I think they're much more transactional, and really being aligned with them.
Yeah. And how would you say AI has made you that much better? Like, is there like a specific thing that you do or use with AI to make that process that much better?
The internal benefit for us is we built a great search functionality. It's private CRM, custom built. That's great, and it does a great job. I told you a second ago about what the output is, but it took a few steps, and now we made it so that we can like just have it instant, not just who would be good for this,
Yeah.
but here's who's good for this. Here's the things they've worked on that are relevant. Here's why they'd be good for this. And it just makes it so much faster and easier for us.
Nice. Computer Java developer, go.
Yeah. Computer Java developer who likes early stage startups, who, like we're not just, that's what I'm sort of was saying earlier. It's not just skills matching. It's who's going to be good with this founder. This person is like really type A. They answer everything in two-word answers. They're not giving any details. Who's good to work under those conditions versus this person is somewhere on the spectrum and they're going to micromanage every element of it. And who do we have on our roster who's going to be good and patient with that? And that understanding is why I think customers come back to us over and over and over again, because it's not just like, oh, this person has the right screwdriver for the screw I have. It's like, I like them and I want to keep working with them.
Yeah. I like the way this screwdriver feels. No. So in terms of, I guess, the future, and to your point, like AI is sort of like death. We don't know when it's going to happen. We just don't know when. From a recruitment lens, like, what are you keeping tabs on? Like, what headlines are catching your attention? They're like, oh, I should pivot, or maybe we should try this out. There's definitely like a gold rush of like all these tools coming out, like, oh, use this to do this. And I've been through a few cycles of that where it's just like, I kind of just want to wait for the dust to settle and then pick the winner kind of deal. But how are you looking at all these tools popping up and just in general, like all this innovation, so to speak, in the recruitment space, and what's catching your attention and what are you avoiding or what are you ignoring for what reason?
I mean, the recruitment space just feels like there's so much noise being created by AI that I just don't want to pay attention to it, because it's, on the one hand, you've got everybody submitting everything to everyone. And so, you post a job, you get 1,000 submissions in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's of no use. So people are building you software to screen that down to some smaller thing. And it's just, I don't know, it still feels very samey to me. Like no one's really rethinking the big picture. Have you encountered Boardy? Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I know Boardy very well. Yeah.
Okay. Boardy, to me, and they pivoted and went in a particular direction, but Boardy to me is what the future of HR is going to look like.
Yeah.
It's like you're going to get on the phone with an AI and you're going to upload your job description and they're going to find out of the entire universe 3 candidates for you. And it's going to be really good. It's going to be the 3 candidates you want.
It's just funny. I've been meaning to like do, because I've used Boardy and I've chatted with the founders. They're out of Toronto, I've been using them for quite some time, and it's made some leaps and bounds. And yes, like they're dead focused on helping founders get access to capital and raise and whatnot, which is very important and cool.
Clearly they needed to pick something they needed to pick a vertical. They can't just introduce everybody to everybody.
Yeah.
But I did like the idea of that.
It was hilariously, like, so for example, HiBob is this incredible software. Like, they should be partners with the People group. They are partners of the People group, but I've known this for years, and I was just trying to like knock on doors and just kind of like, hey, hi Martin, we should kind of like collaborate. Nothing. And I just jumped on a call with Boardy, and Boardy's like, oh, I know this like account exec in San Francisco. He works for HiBob. I'm like, great. Yeah, I'll take the call. Had the call with him. He's like, oh, I know somebody in marketing. They absolutely they were just talking about this last week. And it turned into like a 5-figure deal, and like lifetime value, probably a 6-figure deal for us. And it all came from AI. So like, to your point, like, absolutely sold on using it. It's like fun, it's still novel, and it's like I set a timer on my phone actually to go off as soon as I drop my daughter off at school, and the walk from school to walk home, which is 5 minutes, thank goodness, is me on WhatsApp just messaging Boardy, and I'm just saying, okay, who can I be introduced to today or this week that would be like meaningful?
So you're still doing it.
I'm still doing it, and it's fantastic.
Even though they pivoted, it still works for non-investor.
It still works for non-investor stuff. They've definitely pivoted, but like when we do, like, for example, when we do a dinner in a market we don't have a ton of folks in, I'll just message them like, hey, we're doing a dinner in a couple of weeks. I'd like to know some talent acquisition folks that, you know, would be worth, you know, inviting to this dinner. And they'll give me 3 or 4 profiles. I'm like, oh, that one's great. Send an intro. It's exactly the ideal, like, virtual assistant or like executive assistant experience you'd like, but with like so much anyways, as you can tell, I'm a fan. This podcast is not sponsored by Boardy, but since you brought it up, yeah.
Well, now maybe it should be.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Hey, Andrew, come on.
I'm such a huge fan. I've turned a lot of people onto that product, including a friend who got a job interview through it. Like,
yeah, no, it's like meaningful like outcomes. We used it for our they were going down this path. Like, it's still in the like mess around startup stage of like, we're really trying to find their like what makes the most sense for them to like lean into, but it's been hyper valuable for me. So yeah, so keeping an eye on Boardy, that's a great tip.
Yeah, and I spend more time with my entrepreneurial brain about like what else in the world, not just in HR relating to 10X, does this technology make possible. Like, and part of what's making me a little insane is it's such a big possibility. And then almost everything comes back to, nope, it's just going to be one AI that does all of it. Like, you don't need you don't need all these different things. It's just, it's eventually going to just be your assistant that's going to do it all. And it gets discouraging, and it's also so exciting to think about what can exist in this.
Yeah.
What literally, like, what diseases will be cured because people just start asking AI questions about existing data sets, no new research, like, just like, oh, take Parkinson's from here and take whatever from there and put it all together, and any patterns emerge. All of a sudden, there's new stuff.
No, I mean, I've talked about it a bit, but like, I was dealing with some like actual high blood pressure, like go to the hospital, high blood pressure, a couple, like for the last 18, 24 months. And I've been using GPT, and like, it's like you're fighting someone in the dark for a while. 'Cause it's like, we don't know what's wrong, but your blood pressure is elevated, and then it spikes every once in a while. So don't eat anything tasty ever again. We're like, okay, great. But now,
in our country, they would have just given you a pill. Said, eat whatever you want. Just take this pill every day.
I'm on the pill, but on a low grade. But I've been like working with ChatGPT and just like constantly just kind of like looking at it from every angle. So it, like, bothering not a doctor. I'm not taking it like doctor's advice, but I did go down this rabbit hole of like, is it this? Is it this? Is it this? And started doing like breathing exercises, and it's like legitimately had a significant improvement on my well-being, on my blood pressure, on just like stress in life and everything. And it's just like the fact that like, and it seems like very eye rolling, like,
Of
you
course, but
to be like, oh, my breath work is the thing that's like, but if that's the thing, and I and that and like I can, it's just it's wild. Yeah, no, lots of great things
and
in there.
unlikely a Western doctor would have recommended that.
Yeah, yeah, it wouldn't have been. They're like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna 100%, right? Like, and so now I've got this thing to like punch at, and I'm still in the dark a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's like at least I know what's going on and what levers I can pull and whatnot. So like those are actually the real, like, helping hire people is great, but and it has a meaningful impact on people's lives and their careers and everything like that. But like to your point, like seeing the impact that AI can have on a larger global scale. I guess I would challenge, and this will be my last thought before we sign off, but um, I guess my thought is that I don't know that, like, I'm of the mindset that, like, similar to like you can get coffee anywhere. You can go to Dunkin' Donuts, you can go to Starbucks, you can go to Tim Hortons, you can go to the bespoke coffee shop down the street. I still feel like AIs, we're gonna have, and maybe I'm misunderstanding your like statement on that side of things, but like I feel like there's still gonna be so many different AIs, and like people are gonna pick their brand of AI that they're gonna work with because it suits their style and flavor and whatnot. So
But do you think they'll switch like to their coach AI, and then they'll talk to their travel assistant AI, and then they'll talk to their because what I'm imagining is whichever one you choose, I'm not saying there's only one.
yeah.
That'll be your interface. Like in my car, because I drive a Tesla, they added Grok with one button. Like that's not the AI that I would choose normally.
No.
But it's one button, and I am talking to it and having a conversation. And the ease of that is great. And if I could do everything through, like in life, if I was just like, hey, I'm not going to say any of those things because something's going to react. But hey, device, do this for me. Yeah. Like, I'd rather have to do that than be like, oh, I have to go to the Fandango AI to get my movie tickets, and I have to go to the like, and I don't think that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. It's probably, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it kind of, I mean, the fact that I have to text people on different platforms is infuriating. So that's part of the reason I feel like, if I want to interact with Michael through AI, I have to go through Grok or whatever, because that's the one he's using, and not even for any particular reason other than that's the one you started with, right?
Right. That'll be interesting to see. I imagine there'll be cross-platform communication, because it would be very ineffective if you use Grok and you can't communicate with somebody who's using Gemini. Yeah. Like that wouldn't work. You know, it'll have that. Part of the reason I think we end up here is very soon the AI is going to know I'm going to want the AI to know everything about me. I'm going to want it to have my medical records. I'm going to want it to have my financial information. I'm going to want it to have my travel preferences. There's a trust thing here, but like if I could trust that, and I also sort of don't care, then this thing is making every decision, every request, everything, and it's learning from my style, it's read all my emails, it's read all my tax returns, it just knows everything. It knows what cars I have, so when I need windshield wiper blades, I don't have to tell it. Like, I think there's a version where it's just one assistant.
One thing. One AI to rule them all.
Well, it may be several AIs, but I'm only going to have one.
You're only going to. I got you.
I don't mean that there's winner takes all in the field. I mean, I'm not going to be going between different ones, because they're all going to be interchangeable.
Yeah, you need the people want the simplicity. Like, you're not going to go back and, like, I don't store files with Google, but I use Apple for my photos kind of deal. Like, it's all yeah, that makes sense. Anything you want to leave the listeners with before we sign off here?
No, I guess just be kind to each other. I've had a few experiences this week where people were just unnecessarily, not even directly to me, doing it to somebody I know, just so nasty. And like, just no, the world doesn't need that. Nothing gets better with nastiness.
No, that's fair.
Kindness is good. I don't know. I was a little preachy.
No, I love it. I love it. And for folks, just find you on LinkedIn if they want to hear more. And
yeah,
any like, who's your ICP for your firm? Like, who should reach out to you if they've got a problem and you can solve it, kind of deal?
A ton of our business comes from venture firms who are introducing us to their portfolio companies. That's a big part. So even though venture firms don't hire the people themselves, they're happy to know we exist. We keep them their companies moving. And then mostly venture-backed startups are who we're doing business for. We work with mid-tier companies as well, and occasionally big enterprises, but they have to be, this is back into the HR conversation. They have to be smart about procurement. If you're going to give us a 750-page agreement and require us to have $10 billion of insurance, we're not going to spend the time. We have people that are in demand, like, it's not worth it. Yeah. And hopefully the companies are learning that when they want the right people, because every time we've done business with a big company, it's always been someone who found one of our people and then told their HR department, don't tell me I can't work with this person. Just figure out how to make it happen. And then we get it done at a big company. That's every time how we get in.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it comes back to quality finding its audience.
Yep.
Love it. Awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you, Martin. This was really fun.
No, I appreciate it. No, thanks, Michael. Yeah. All right, folks. That's it. And we'll see you next time. If you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're not already a member of the community, please join us at thepeoplepeoplegroup.com.